Hello and welcome to another Tabletop Ramblings Middle-earth strategy battle game battle report. For today's battle report, the Elven stronghold has been taken by Angmar. And flying down from the Misty Mountains, we have Radagast's alliance and the Misty Mountains coming to clear them out. Today's battle is 650 points, and this is the Angmar force. Led by the Witch King on horse with the Crown of Morgul, 3 might, 15 will and 3 fate. His warband has 10 orcs, 5 with a spear, 4 with shield, 1 with two-handed weapon, and then he's also got 2 spectres. There's an orc captain on warg with shield, with 4 warg riders with shield. The orc captain is the one with the armoured warg and who's pointing. Then we have a Barrowight with, again, 10 orcs, 5 with spear, this time 2 with two-handed weapon and 3 with shield. And finally, the Shade with a banner bearer, and then 10 orcs, 1 with 2-hand, 4 with shield, and 5 with spear. So it's 37 models, not a massive amount of might, but they've got quite a bit of magic and a lot of bodies to throw at these eagles. For the forces of good, we have Misty Mountains and Radagast's alliance. A strange alliance. The reason for not just taking them all from the same list is that if Gwahir is from the Misty Mountains, then he is a legend, so he could be the leader instead of the very squishy Radagast, who I find just dies too easily. So this list is very, very simple. It's Gwahir and 2 eagles, and then Radagast around on eagle with 1 eagle. And you may notice that they, most of the eagles, other than this perfectly detailed Games Workshop one, look a bit rough and ready. They're also not quite finished painting. That's because they are green stuff eagles. I've made these just as a bit of a hobby project, and because I accidentally bought 4 feet of green stuff. So they are on cocktail sticks to hold them up, because they've not even got flight bases. They're very rough and ready, so apologies for that. If I enjoy playing with the army, I'll probably get some more eagles eventually, but I figured if I don't really enjoy them, why invest in sort of 90 quid's worth of eagles? So this is the army for today. It's very, very small. Hopefully it will hit quite hard, and hopefully it'll be quite entertaining. This is the table for today. Our Elven city that Angmar have cleared out, although Misty Mountains are on their way to rescue the survivors. The scenery, if anyone's interested, are MDF kits from TT Combat. They're very, very reasonably priced and worth taking a little look at. The board is currently empty of models because we're going to be doing recon or reconnoiter, which we'll not try and pronounce, so we'll just call recon, where the 2 forces are trying to cross the board. Angmar trying to cross to hunt down the surviving elves, and the eagles, probably more likely to know where the elves actually are, looking to go and help them out on the other side. This scenario is all about getting models off the other side, with 3 points for getting more models off, 5 if you get more models off, and it's double, at least double, and then 7 if you can get triple the number than your opponents. There's also 1 and 2 for leader kills, wound or kill, and then 1 or 3 if you can either break them for 1 or break the enemy while being unbroken for 3. This scenario may seem easy for the eagles, as they can just fly off and end the game. However, the game only ends once both forces are reduced to 25%, and models that have flown off still count as being on the board. So both forces are going to have to do quite a bit of damage to each other and get models off. So it's going to be quite an interesting one. It's not just a straight up kill match, which might be a little bit one-sided with these. kind of elite punching forces, with it being, after a fashion, an objective-based game. It will make for quite an interesting scenario. At least that's the hope. Models enter the board from their board edge. We're going to have eagles at this side, evil at that side, and they've got to cross over. And they come on with the reinforcement table. On a 1 to 3, nothing happens, and on a 4+, that warband comes in, and each turn they get +1 to that roll, and it does stack. So by turn 3, they're automatically going to come on. So we'll roll for priority, and it goes to the eagles. So we'll roll first off for Gwahir. His band does not come in. He's not going to bother with any might. And then Radagast does come in. So we'll pop him on, and then we'll go into evil's move. End of the first turn, and only Radagast and his eagle friend have entered the board. No evil forces have come on. This is a mightable roll, but there's very little might in this army. The Shade and the Barrowight don't have any might, so they were unable to might it. So we'll roll for next turn priority. Turn 2, again, goes to good. End of turn 2, and after a very low rolling reinforcement turn the previous turn, everything is now on. Gwahir and his eagles have come in and just gone behind Radagast and his eagle, who just shuffled a bit forward, trying to keep themselves together because they can redeploy very quickly. And then for evil, everything has just come on in a big bubble. They have the Shade in the middle, along with the Barrowight and the Witch King. The Shade has that -1 to the dual roll aura for enemy models. So the eagles, with their fight 7, will to some extent be irrelevant, as even if they roll a 6, it goes down to a 5. So they've tried to keep a bubble, knowing that the eagles can't just fly off, as then they will run off. But they have sent a detachment of riders up one flank to try and split the eagles off. It's still early as to where they're going to go, whether they're going to then go back to the centre or not. Both forces just kind of keeping their options open at this early stage. So with that, there's no shooting, as neither force really have any shots at all. In fact, even that one lonely throwing spear is just because I couldn't find a model without a throwing spear. So there's no shooting on either side, so we'll roll for priority. And it's a draw, so it goes to evil this time. End of the turn, and evil have just moved up, keeping their sort of bubble around the Shade, with some guys around the back in case flyers are going to try and get round and abuse those softer targets, or at least more high priority targets. The Shade, the Witch King. Over here, the Warg Riders moved up to just outside 24 inches, so an eagle couldn't move, and then win priority and charge. In response, the eagles have moved up, but with Radagast and an eagle moving over towards the right-hand side. Because there's a captain, they can win any heroic move roll-offs unless there's might on the eagle side. So Radagast is going over there to counter that. But they've kept fairly central, just to be able to redeploy and to react to whatever evil are going to do. So that is the turn. We'll roll for priority. Oh, and this time it goes to good, which is not the result that they wanted, but definitely the result that evil wants. nearly at the end of the move phase, and Gwahir and his eagles have had to stay still here. They were just outside of 12 inches, which means as the evil force advance, they'll still be able to get the charge regardless next turn. And then here, they've just tried to block this gap off. Evil in response have pushed forward with everything, and the Witch King, while he has actually moved and others have moved, we're going to do his magic now rather than breaking the flow before. So he is going to use 2 dice to drain will on Gwahir. So it goes off on a 5. It doesn't go off on either of those. He's got the Crown of Morgul, so we can re-roll to a 5. So it has gone off. So it will drain D3 will. Resisting on a 5, Gwahir could throw will at it. It still goes through, drains the rest. He's going to take that and just hope that this is a 1 or a 2. And it is. So just 1 will removed from Gwahir. That's an okay result for evil, and one of the better results there for good. We'll then come round here, where the Warg Riders are going to try and charge this eagle. We're going to start with this one. He is in range, but he needs a courage test, which he fails. We then have the next Warg Rider, who also fails because he's from Angmar and not Mordor. If he had the army bonus for Mordor, he'd have made it. We've then got the captain, but I think we're going to go for plebs first. We'll go for this pleb here, who passes on an 8. So he can comfortably get round the back of that eagle. We then have this one here, who also fails. Oh dear me, that ruins the plan of trying to trap that and get either a cheeky kill or at the very least a wound off it. The captain is still going to go in, at least he's going to try. And he's not in, not at courage 3, he'd need a will and a might. He's not going to do it, he's just going to hope that that eagle doesn't abuse his friend. So that's the end of the movement phase. We'll go into the combats. And in fact, there is only one combat. There is this one here, the eagle against the Warg Rider. Warg Rider does have 2 because it counts as infantry. However, the eagle has 1. And then the eagle is just going to, he's going to need 4s either way. Oh, in fact, no, he's going to need a 3 on the warg. So we'll go for the rider first and kill him. And then the warg, a 1. Does the warg stay? No. So that is first blood. That was a poor tactic there from Angmar. End of the turn, and not the world's greatest result for Angmar. They were hoping to pass a lot more courage tests than that, but at courage 2, they do struggle. So that is the end of the turn. We'll roll for priority. And it goes to the forces of good. With good priority, this captain is calling a heroic move. He's not spread out last time. Instead, he tried to make those moves, and it's really not worked for him. So he's going to try the exact same thing again and hope his luck's better this time. But as well, he needs to take out those charge bonuses. Otherwise, his whole force is going to die, and this flank will be gone. So he's calling, and Radagast is not going to waste his might. He's going to hope that there's more failed courage tests. So first off, this captain is taking courage to charge into Radagast. And this time on an 8, he loves it. So he's in on Radagast. Then this chap is going to try and charge the furthest away eagle and fail. Then this one fails. And the last one fails. Oh, dearie me. That is poor. It nearly paid off, at least. Radagast is losing his charge bonus, but with that one not tied down, that could be a very dead captain. After the orcs have failed their courage tests, we then come to good, because it's good priority. And this eagle here is going to try and charge in. He has to take a courage test because of the Angmar bonus, which gives orcs within 3 inches of a spirit hero terror. He can only reach terror models. He's courage 6, and he loves it even on that very first one. So he's in, been pre-measured, and he's just going to plant himself in there. We then have this eagle here, has a -1 because of the special rule Harbinger from the Witch King, but he has still made it in, and he's just going in. We'll put him in properly in a second. And then Gwahir, also taking courages, also courage 6, and he loves it as well. So he's going in, and then for Evil's move, we'll do all of their courage tests off camera because there's going to be billions as they try and countercharge. So we're dropping into Evil's movement with the Barrowight, which is going to cast Paralyze on Gwahir. It's going to use 2 of its 5 will, and it doesn't go off. So Gwahir safe for the moment, except then we're going to have some magic from the Witch King. The Witch King is going to transfix Gwahir with 2 will. Doesn't go off, but he's got the crown to chase a higher number, and it's a 5. So Gwahir would drop down considerably, down to just 1 will. He's going to struggle, but he's going to need his will to resist paralyze and those kind of things. So he's probably going to have to just take that. He's going to have to accept that he's been paralyzed. Transfixed, and then the other 2 eagles can at least try and fight and protect him. After successfully transfixing Gwahir, the Witch King has moved into his little bunker just to hide, protected by some orcs, while the rest of the orcs have swarmed in. A lot of failed courage tests. A few did manage to charge. This guy didn't bother trying to take a courage test. He just moved behind Gwahir to get the trap. And that is how we're looking. The shade will be activating in the combat phase. So there's going to be -1 for those eagles. It's going to be an uphill struggle for the eagles, it would appear. But any combat they win, they're going to mince through anything that is unlucky enough to feel their wrath. This is how we're looking then. All of the fighting taking place in Evil's half of the board, but things looking a little bit ropey here, where there's a lot of magic. Although if these eagles can pull it off, they can abuse some orcs. First off though, in the combat phase, we've got this charging eagle and Radagast against the orc captain. And Radagast is going to be calling a heroic combat. He's looking to smash this flank completely after some poor courage tests have fouled up Angmar's plans of racing that flank, and then he can run off or fly off to help out the centre. So this heroic combat will let the orc captain set the bar. He's 2 attacks because he charged a cavalry model, and he's only on a 3. That is not good. We've then got gold for the eagle that charged, and there's a 6 there. The 2 attacks for Radagast has done it as well. That is 1 super rare, unlucky warg captain. He is knocked prone, and then these are all going to be double strikes at strength 7 from the charging eagle and strength 6 from Radagast. So the first double strike from the strength 7 eagle is going to be needing 4s because the captain is defense 6. No wounds, and then again 2 wounds. So then, oh, in fact they were Radagast's dice, weren't they? But we said they were the eagle, so that's 2 of them. And then on the warg will also be dead. So then Radagast, putting all of his strikes onto the captain, has killed him even past fate. So that captain and his warg are dead, just in case the warg was going to pass its courage test and stay. And then Radagast and the eagle can move again, and the eagle is going to charge into this one, Radagast into these 2. And as we're here, we'll continue with these fights. We'll do the 2 wargs against Radagast on the charge. So he's got 3 attacks. Oh, he only just wins on a 4. So on the first rider, needing 4s, kills him. Oh dear. The second rider, again needing 4s, kills him. Then one of the wargs kills him. Strength 7 on defense 4. That is a kill. And then the courage of the remaining warg, 7. It doesn't stay. So that's those two wiped out by Radagast on the charge. We've then got this eagle, who again will do in gold. Wins, despite the valiant effort on a 5 there from the warg rider. Then these are double strikes. So on the man, dead. On the warg, dead. That is brutal. That entire warband slaughtered much more efficiently than I could possibly have predicted there. They were on fire. Let's come over though to the main fight here in the centre and see if evil can do better. Over on this side then, we have 3 with their spear supports. It's the guy under the wing and these 2, as this chap and his spear support failed courage tests. There are 2 piercing strikers at the front. We'll let them set the bar. And they win the fight because they have a 6. And the shade is providing a -1 to whatever the eagle gets, which means the eagle has automatically lost because a 6 goes down to a 5. What would the eagle have got? Would it have made a difference? No. Well worth a point of will from the shade. So if we can find the dice, we'll then roll to wound. Not trapped, so the eagle just backs away. So we have the 2 piercing strikers who need 6s, and they do a wound. Ouch. And then 4 guys needing 6s by 4s. There's a 1-6. If it's by 4, it's a wound. Oh no, the eagle backs away and it has taken 1 wound. We'll just put a marker on there so that we remember that that one has taken a wound, and we'll pick it up off him in a moment. We then have this eagle here, only against the spectre and 1. So he's in with a chance. We'll let the eagle set the bar this time. Oh, on a 4 that goes down to a 3. That's not good. Evil have won. So the spearman will need 6s by 4s. No chance. And then the spectre will need... He is strength 3 against courage of 5 because of the evil aura from the Witch King. So he needs 5s. No. And that eagle again just backs away. We then have the Gwahir fight. The washing machine has just gone off in the background. You might be able to hear some daft tune that goes on forever, but at least now we won't be able to hear that annoying shaking noise. So Gwahir on the charge. I believe he still gets his charge bonuses for charging, even though he's transfixed. Do comment below if that's wrong. He gets a 6, which is down to a 5, but he can mate it back up to a 6. He's not actually trapped because he can get out that way because of good priority. They've been able to do the fights in the right way. So it's this 6 rather on Gwahir. The guy here will 2-hand piercing strike. Everyone's going to piercing strike. They're always going to do what they can to kill, especially when there's a shade around. So we'll roll the 5 that it matters with. The 2-hander obviously can't win this fight. They only get a 5 high. Banner reroll to a 6. Oh dearie me. So Gwahir has lost that fight. Assuming he doesn't want to waste might. If he does spend might, he isn't going to make strikes. He might just have to take the strikes while he's not trapped. So, oh dear. These wings are a nightmare. We'll back him away. He's taking some strikes here. So he is taking 3 spearmen and the swordsman needing 6s by 4s. 1-6 by 1. And then the piercing striker wounding on straight 6s. No. Then the 2-hander wounding on 5s. No. So Gwahir not spending the might there. The correct call. And that is the end of the combat phase and the end of the turn. We'll do a little recap, but first off, we'll just roll for priority. If we can find a green dice, there we go. Priority goes to good. Just to recap how we're looking then. Good have cleared this flank but they're very much bogged down in the centre. It is good priority, so we'll see what they are going to do. In Good's move, they've passed courage tests, managed to charge terrifying things, just pulling back slightly, keeping a bit of a wall to hem the forces of evil in. Radagast has come in to try and clog this side up. He's got might, so he can call heroic moves and just make sure that no one escapes through this side. He's also in range of the Barrowight. He's going to cast a spell in just a second. But we'll just come over here where the eagle is making a break for the board edge. Just to put pressure on Angmar. If there's at least one good model off, they are putting that little bit more pressure on evil without sacrificing too much. They haven't actually killed 100 points worth yet to lose a 100-point eagle, but the position, as long as they don't hemorrhage eagles, if a couple of eagles die, it's going to be a real mess. But at the moment, it seems like the best play. So Radagast, he doesn't get any free will because he sacrifices his staff to have an eagle, which is why the eagle is only 50 points instead of 100. So he's got 6 will, and he's going to just do a 1 will transfix on a 3+ onto the Barrowight. It goes off on a 6, so the Barrowight's not going to bother trying to resist that transfix. The Barrowight is transfixed. He won't be able to try and paralyse either of the eagles or Gwahir this turn. And that is the end of Good's move. We'll come back after evil have either managed to swamp something or just failed a load of courage tests. Evil move, and as predicted, they failed a couple of courage tests, but not as many as you would expect. And they've been able to fly out this way with staying outside of his control zone. They're just spreading out, just trying to, again, put pressure on the back of the board. A couple have managed to charge, well, one, in fact, managed to charge in on Gwahir and help out. Then the spear supports have come in. A couple have managed to go in on this eagle here, which is trapped. Someone ran around the back and didn't courage test, so he's not in combat. He's just there to get the trap. A spearman managed to spear support there. He's been knocked. It looks like he's in combat, but he's just spear supporting. And the under the stairs, you can't quite see him. That two-hander failed his courage test. We're coming in, though, at the end of the move, where the Barrowight is unable to move because it's transfixed, but the Witch King is not. And he is going to 1 dice transfix Gwahir. Goes off on a 4, and he's happy with that, because either Gwahir is transfixed or he wastes his precious will. And Gwahir is going to have to save his will. At this stage of the game, it's important to keep his will, so he's going to allow himself to be transfixed. If he had resisted it, would it have worked? It wouldn't even have worked, so it's a good call there. He is transfixed, but he keeps his will intact. And it's unlikely he's going to take too much damage, as he's not trapped at this point in time. After transfixing the Gwahir, the Witch King is just hiding still in his little box, and he is down to 10 will remaining. We'll go into the combat phase, and it's good priority. So they'll start off over here with this one. It's a 2-on-2, 3 in fact. Let's just restart that. That was gibberish. So 1 eagle on the charge is 3 attacks against 2 evil models. The shade is of course activating. So all the good models within 6 inches, which is all of the combats, are -1 on their dual roll. So we'll roll these, and the eagle loses regardless. They're just struggling here to win. We have the spearman needing 6s by 4, so he does nothing. But then the spectre, whose rule of making things move around with courage tests is fairly pointless in this game. Although wounding on courage is quite good, needing just a 5. No, that's a 1. So the eagle that's wounded just backs away. He's fine. We then have this this fight here. Actually, we'll do Gwahir to try and untrap this guy, although I think he's fairly comfortably trapped. So we do Gwahir. He is on the charge and gets a 5 down to a 4. That's fairly pants. As always, they're always going to be piercing, striking, and two-handing and everything like that. So the 3 orcs, and then gold will be the 2-hander, and they win it there on a 5, which beats Gwahir's 5 because it's gone down to a 4. Again, no point wasting might from Gwahir as he's transfixed anyway. So making strikes, we've got the piercing striker needing 6s. No, just. Then 6s by 4s from the spearman. No. Then the 2-hander needing 5s. No. And Gwahir backs away, trying untangling from his friends. So this eagle is trapped. He is fighting quite a lot of guys. He's actually fighting 7. This guy didn't quite manage to get the spear support in. Unless it was this guy who's just been moved by wings. Actually, I think it was. Yes, it was. So he's fighting 8. The guy at the back is not in the fight. So we'll let the eagle set the bar. 3 on the charge to a 5 down to 4. That is poor. The shade really coming in there. So 8 dice coming against him. Are there any 2-handers? Oh, it's very dark under these wings, isn't it? No, there's no 2-handers. So it's 8 dice for evil if we can find them. Needing just a 5. They've done it. The shade is what's won that fight. Poor eagle. So they have won. And then trapped, he's taking double strikes. There are 3 piercing strikers. So these 6 dice, because they're doubled, will need just 6s. And on 3 6s straight away, there is a dead eagle. And just like that, this eagle is down. And the floodgates now are potentially starting to open. 2 eagle bases are going to struggle to keep Angmar back from the board edge. That is a brutal turn there to lose an eagle. But that is how the game goes. So we'll roll for priority and then we'll have a little overview of the table. Priority goes to evil. On the back of slaughtering an eagle, they're now on a rampage and ready to charge. With evil priority and gaps forming in the eagle's wall, the time has come to make their move. Both Gwahir and Radagast are calling heroic moves. They're going to just try and punch through and smash these orcs to bits. The Witch King can't really counter. It's very, very unreliable that anyone's going to pass a courage test. He can't really move close enough. So it goes uncontested. And the first thing is Radagast. He's going to take a courage 7 or something crazy. Yeah, flying colours to charge in here against the Barrowight to stop it from charging. And on his way in, he is going to transfix with 2 will the Witch King. So that'll only leave him with, oh, in fact, no, he's going to use 1. He'll be left with 4 will. Nah, go for it. With 2, he'll be left with just 3 will. Oh, and it doesn't go off. It doesn't even go off. Oh, dearie me, Radagast. So he's got 3 will left. And the Witch King is not transfixed. That's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. Radagast is then going to take courage himself to charge in here. They're going to try and kill the Shade, the Barrowight, and then go off and mop up the orcs. It's a high-risk strategy, but at this point, it's what they need to do. And, oh, it's a 5. So just passes there on courage 6 down to 5. It's been pre-measured. He can make it in. Obviously not this far, but this is just so that he can turn to get his wings in the right place. And he's in on those 2 orcs. We then have this chap here, who is within 6 as long as he charges right in. And he is... oh, not brave. Oh, he is on a 5. He's just brave enough. So the 1 wound chap charges in there. That's all the charges. They didn't quite manage to get a transfix off or make the Witch King waste will resisting a transfix. But it's time they made their move. So it's evil movement now. We'll see if they can get far enough up the board that good won't be able to do anything about it in later turns. Evil's counter move. They have spread out, making a beeline for the edge of the board with as many as possible without compromising the safety of the numbers down here. They've got nigh on 10 going for the board edge. It's unlikely that Eagles will be able to stop them, although if the Eagles can break Angmar, these will all fail courage tests. However, only one orc failed a courage test to charge, and that is that two-hander there that's facing the wrong way. Everybody else passed on crazy numbers, 11s and 12s, just ridiculous dice rolling. Everyone charging in. This guy is getting overwhelmed. There's a couple on Radagast, only a few on Gwahir. The fighting is going to be make or break this turn. The Witch King is still to move. He is going to 2 dice transfix Gwahir. Goes off on a 4, but he's going to re-roll with the crown. 2 or 1. So it is a 4. And Gwahir is going to resist that. He's actually going to resist it with both of his will. This is real make or break now. He's going to use both. Oh, and it only costs him 1. So 1 will to resist. He is not transfixed. And then the Witch King could either hide round here. He can get to about here. No one can see him, so he'll be safe for a turn. Or alternatively, he could dismount and go under the stairs and hide here, but possibly a more dangerous place to be. So he's going to ride round. It's been pre-measured. He can get to just beyond that pillar. He's going to whip round to here, where he is safe, because even with a heroic combat, he can't be seen, so he can't be charged. It does, however, mean that there's no might around here for any heroic moves to try and counter and pin Eagles in place. So the Eagles are going to have their way with Angmar down here. The only other thing left to move is this Eagle here. As we go into Good's movement phase, he is just going to fly off. Thought about bringing him around, staying at the edge, but ready to help out. But realistically, he's better off just leaving the board. That is how we're looking. Into the combat phase, and despite this being that big play turn for the Eagles, they're not going to be calling any heroic moves. Because of the sheer weight of numbers on Radagast, he can't kill them all. Gwahir can, although it's made difficult by the presence of the shade. And speaking of the shade, he just can't quite get anything charging into him. This guy here and this spearman will stop any heroic moves, any heroic combat. So he's actually safe this turn. The forces of evil have been able to keep him protected. So no heroics from Good. They have managed to at least clear out the Witch King, but no heroics to abuse things. Although, saying that, there is the potential for a heroic move combat from Gwahir to land here. Try and heroic move, roll off, and charge into the Witch King. It is a tough one, but with the shade, he's going to save his might for winning fights and getting kills, because there are a lot of orcs left alive and they need to start dying to break. So we'll go into the fight phase. We'll start off with Gwahir. We'll give him the gold dice. We'll let him set the bar. He does get the 6, but with the shade activating, it goes down to a 5. He is fighting 3. Yes, 3. The piercing striker will piercing strike. So 3 guys. They get a 5, but it's not enough, because Gwahir's 6 down to a 5. He is fight value something crazy like 8, so he's 1. So the first chap is not dead on a 2. And again, yes, he is on a 5. And then the final attack kills. So he's killed the 2 he was in combat with. So he could have heroic combated. He just couldn't really have gone anywhere. So we'll get rid of him. That's 2 dead orcs. That's proper shaky cam there. And then we'll do Gwahir. Not Gwahir, Radagast, who is transfixed. He's not transfixed, he's trapped. Here it me. Verbal diarrhea, as one of my teachers used to say. We'll let Radagast set the bar. He's got the 6 down to a 5, so he can might it up and win that fight. He is fighting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plebs and the Barrowight. Barrowight only has 1 attack, so we'll do all of those together. There's the 6. Radagast will have to spend his last point of might to win that fight. So he's won the fight, and he is going to chuck his first double strikes on the Barrowight and do nothing. His second set, 1 wound. He's strength 7 on the charge because of the army bonus against defense 7. So 1 wound, and then another wound. And with no fate, the Barrowight is dead. And then those in combat are knocked prone. We'll do that in a moment. And that is a little victory there for the forces of good. The final fight, the Eagle again will set the bar on a 4 down to a 3. That is not good, as there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in combat with him. That is crazy. So 9 guys needing a low number, and they've definitely won there. So we have how many piercing strikers? Dear me, these wings. So 3 piercing strikers. That's 6 dice needing straight 6s. They do another wound, so he's down to 1 wound remaining. We then have 2 spectres in there, so these are needing 5s, double strikes, and 2 wounds. The Eagle is brought low by the sheer weight of numbers that Angmar were able to put into that fight. Passing every courage test really was a big bonus there. And now things are looking bleak for the forces of good. They only have 2 models left, but they're not broken, as 1 model off the table does count as being on the board. So they're not broken, but they are in a little bit of trouble. It does also mean, with 1 off the table, that to quarter the forces of good, the forces of evil need to kill both Gwahir and Radagast and his Eagle. So there's it's a big ask, but things are looking bleak nonetheless for the forces of good. We'll roll priority, and then we'll have a bit more of an overview of the table. It does go to good, and there's no might round here, so a small victory again to the forces of good. Evil are set to break out towards the board edge, this being recon. That is a good position for Evil to be in, but it is good priority. There's no might round here for Evil, so they're going to make some charges. Gwahir, Radagast rather, is going to come up and over. It's been pre-measured. He can get in on these 2, and he's going to transfix the Shade just on 1, just to try and keep him back and out of any combats. Goes off on a 5. The Shade still has a crazy amount of will left. He's only spent 3, so he's going to 2 will resist it, and he does successfully resist, but he's burnt a bit of will. Of course, this Shade has 8 will. It costs a point to activate his chill aura, and when he runs out, he's unable to use it. So it's worth trying to get rid of a little bit of will there. That is 1 off Radagast and 2 off the Shade. We'll then chuck Gwahir, again pre-measured. He can get in here against both of these. That's just trying to get kills and trying to stem the tide a little bit as these orcs run to the board edge. That's Good's move. We'll come back with evil movement. End of movement, and the orcs have really spread out now, going for the board edge. The spectres are quite high courage. They managed to charge in. This spearman is getting the trap, but he's not in the combat. So there's a fair few on Gwahir. No one was able to reach Radagast, or at least these ones could, but they've just run for the hills. The Shade is in a vulnerable spot, but it's getting the 2 fights, and at the end of the day, if resources are wasted to kill it, at least it's sort of away from these guys, and it's dragging Gwahir and Radagast back from where they should be. The Banner again in a vulnerable position, but he's getting that fight. The Witch King is still to move. He is going to come up to a point roughly here. It's been pre-measured. He's in range of Gwahir. He's in 12 of a transfix. He's again going to use 2. Goes off on a 4. He's going to use his crown to re-roll to a 5. And Gwahir's going to spend his last point of might. Why not? Of will, rather. And he fails. So Gwahir is transfixed. He's out of will. The Witch King can then move back to here, where he's hiding, unable to be targeted by either of the two big scaries. And things are looking bleak now for the Eagles. So, out of will, Gwahir is trapped and transfixed. Start of the combat phase, and the shade activates. He's just got 2 will remaining now, but it is well worth it for these turns. We'll do Radagast first. He's fighting 2. There's another one hiding under his wings, and they're both going to stab because why not? So both stabbing. Oh, they only just don't win that on a 2. Radagast gets the 3 down to a 2, but he's got the fight value. So the first orc splattered, and the second also splattered, with a much better roll there for wounding than for winning the fight. And he's killed those 2 orcs, bringing the orcs closer to break, but still a good 10 models away. We then have Gwahir on the charge, who gets... Oh, he does get 6s. So 6s down to 5 with the shade. Everyone that's two-handing, that can two-hand will two-hand, obviously, but I don't think there is anyone. So we just have 6 guys looking to at least get a 6. Put some pressure on the Eagle. They do get a 6, so that means Gwahir is going to have to spend a point of might to win or take double strikes. And with 2 Blades of the Dead in there, he's probably going to take wounds here. Oh, does he want to waste might though? Comment below if you think he should burn his might or not. Gwahir is going to risk it and not burn his might. He needs it for calling a heroic move, getting out, and then a heroic combat. He needs to get kills. He needs to get away as well from the Witch King out of his range. So he's not going to spend the might. He's going to take the hits. And that is then 8 orcs needing 6s by 4. So he's relatively safe from these. Oh, there are 2 6s though. That's not so good. So 2 6s needing 6s by 4s. And of course, he takes 2 wounds. The Eagles have just been so painfully unlucky in this game. So he has taken 2 wounds from them. And then the 2 striking on courage. Oh, they're actually needing straight 6s because there is no Harbinger, because the Witch King is further away. So he's courage 6. So actually, they need straight 6s. Flaming Nora. And they do 3 wounds. So Gwahir has taken 5 wounds. He's got 3 fate, 1 might. He needs to pass these. He needs at least 2 4s and a 3. He bottles it, and he's dead. Oh, dearie me. That was definitely the wrong call there, and Gwahir is toast. That is very, very poor. With Gwahir gone, things are looking very bleak now for the forces of good. It's just going from bad to worse for the Eagles. They're broken, but despite having 1 model left on the board, not quartered. Let's roll for priority. And it does go at least to Radagast. So this is the board then at the start of start of the turn, and it's good priority. Now I did honestly think about calling it here, because Radagast is all alone, broken. So at this point in time, having broken the Eagles and being unbroken themselves and killing Gwahir, evil are on 5 victory points and good are on 3 for getting 1 model off. With good priority, Radagast transfixed him, although he failed on a 2, and he's charged in on 1 chap here, but the orcs are swarming forward, and there is just no way that Radagast can do this. Radagast, if he dies and ends the game, then evil still win, because even though at this point they've got nothing off, they have broken the enemy while being unbroken and killed the enemy leader. for 5. If he flies off, he still loses, because they'll get, in fact, it'll be a draw for a short time. He'll get 5 points if he flies off, but then the game doesn't end, so the orcs flood off and win. There really is nothing that Radagast can do at this point while he's by himself. He could dismount, the eagle automatically stays, there'll be 2 of them, but there's just such a wide, I mean 4 feet in fact of board trying to sort by himself. He just can't stem this tide. So this will be the last turn. We'll see if he can go out with a bang. The shade, however, is in range, it has activated. Will he go quietly into the night, or will he at least get a kill on his way? The orc's going to fight it and wins. Oh dear me, can he put a wound on Radagast? He's wounding on 5s. No, so Radagast backs away. The orc that's not even facing the right way has just bounced Radagast back, and we're going to call the game there. So, as we've already said, it is an evil victory. At this point, they've won 5-3 because they've killed Gwahir and broken the eagles, which I really did not think they would ever be able to do. But there we go. That's the power of the shade, really abusing the eagles and making their fight value void. If the game continued, then evil would have won that with an even higher score. The Witch King could play the game with Radagast forever, really, and dance around buildings. He's never going to die, and the orcs would just flood off the board. They'd get hundreds off, and the game would definitely end at some point. And there we have it. Evil, resounding victory against the eagles. But Radagast still alive, flying off into the sunset. I hope you enjoyed that game. It was a bit different to normal. It was a very, very strange one. It is that kind of scenario. It does promote some strange gameplay, trying to avoid each other and that kind of thing. But it was also pretty fun. I did enjoy playing with the eagles, though I'll have to play a few more games before I commit to buying the real thing. So again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.